Hi everyone, Nidoking here, bringing you the first episode of Let's Play Space Quest 1, The Sarian Encounter. Now of course, usually I let the game's credits play while I'm telling you all that, but this time I've got a very good reason for going against the formula. There are actually two versions of the first Space Quest game, one which was built with the original AGD engine by Sierra way back in the mid-80s, and a remake which was made in VGA graphics with an updated engine which was also used in Space Quest 4, and it was developed at around the same time. Now, for this Let's Play I'm going to be going with the updated version, but I really don't like the intro sequence to the updated version. It doesn't actually give you the full story of the game, and I find the remade Space Quest theme obnoxious, and the graphics just don't do it for me. The whole thing kind of goes against the mood of the game. So, I've paused on the first screen that comes up for about a tenth of the second in the original game, which most people never get to see because it's gone even before you notice it. And with that, I'm going to present to you the way I believe the Space Quest series must first be experienced, the original classic Space Quest theme. Well, that was at least one full iteration of the theme. As you can see, if you're reading along, the Irnon galaxy, planet Xenon, is basically dying because their star is about to go out. So they've created a star generator, which can turn a planet into a star. Should probably sound familiar from a couple of other sci-fi plots. And the starship Arcada is the one which is testing the star generator. Hate to know what planet they were testing it on. And yes, our main character is a janitor. So it gives us a nice extensive story to begin with. So we actually understand what's going on in the game. Now let's see how that would have gone had I shown you just the introduction from the enhanced version. And you can judge for yourselves. Like I said, I preferred this one. I cut out about half of the pause before the game starts. that's basically what the classic Space Quest theme had become over the course of about 5 years and 3 sequels. It's pretty good. And these two guys deserve a lot of appreciation. The two guys from Andromeda, Scott Murphy and Mark Crow, who brought Space Quest to life in the first place. I just really think that, this is the kind of thing that people would expect from, a third season of your favorite sci-fi show after they finally become popular, gotten funding, and then everybody starts to hate it because it's not the classic anymore. And I like the later games, too. And the later games do the music kind of like this. Ken Allen, good job. I like it. It's just, it doesn't feel like Space Quest 1. It feels more like Space Quest 3.5. But here comes our opening story. The understanding that we begin this version of the game with, as opposed to the original. That's it. I mean, it's a very condensed version of the slides that we got before. Although at least they are telling us that the alien ship has come and captured us. And it seriously looks like a giant praying mantis. So let's begin the interactive portion of our game. So at the beginning of the game, they tell us what we already know. We're being boarded.
Sequence is engaged. 15 minutes till destination.
And that's pretty much all the voice acting in the entire game right there. And if I don't click, it'll just let the timer run down pretty much forever. So let's take a look at our interface. We've got the standard walk icon, then we got the eye to look at things. We got the hand, which is useful for picking things up, and also for using things where they are. And we've got the obvious talk icon for talking to people. The nose lets us smell things, and the tongue lets us taste things. Neither of those is actually useful in any way. In our inventory, we've currently got 3 Buckazoids. That's the currency throughout the Space Quest series. Not going to be very useful right now. Yeah, we're under red alert, which means that, we're about to die and we've got less than 15 minutes to get out of here. So let's see about escaping. Or at least hiding in the closet. Unfortunately, while it is a good hiding place, there's nothing useful in it. So let's see if we can find a way out of here. And one thing you want to do at the start of the game is run up this speed meter a little bit, because the timer counts down at a constant rate, so walking faster gets you places in less time. And you can see where the elevator comes out right there on the bottom level. And it doesn't taste like anything. I think Space Quest 4, they put taste actions for a lot more things. This game is just an occasional bit of humor. And here's all my dead crewmates. Footsteps is of course bad. It means that the Sarians are coming and about to find me. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't let you do that. You're dead. And our token hot chick, who's dead before the game even begins. And can I hide into... Nope. One thing that the Space Quest series always did well was to have amusing death messages I wanted death to be more a part of the game. And then there's the two guys from Andromeda, Scott and Mark. Yes, we will be seeing a lot of them as the series progresses. And if you look quickly, I think that's the only time you can actually look at that robot. The spastic research droid. And we've already been through this.
The strike sequence is engaged. 15 minutes till detonation.
There's not really a point in having a timer on this part anyway. I mean, 15 minutes is plenty, as you'll be seeing. So what we need to do actually is go to the left. And here's a room that looks different. Got a cartridge retrieval unit. Model, I guess it's a sad face that's been poisoned. And the operation console of the data archive unit. This is the ship's library. And there's nothing really we need to do in here. I mean, I guess if we needed information we could stop, but we're under attack. The Sarians are everywhere. Footsteps again, although I think the Sarians will be coming on the lower hallway there, and they won't see me. Hey, a dead guy. Look at him. It's Jerry. And he apparently had clearance to get to the lower level airlock, which sounds like a good place to try to escape. So, I don't think he's going to be needing that clearance anymore. Let's see if we can find his keycard. There we go. And we get to hear that we got some points. Smells like Jerry. I wonder if he tastes like Ben and Jerry. No. Just a couple of amusing comments here and there. All the smell and taste stuff was just added for this version of the game. And this time I think I can escape before the Sarians catch up. And yes, we need to go back into the library, because the second time we appear, this happens. Not the most obvious event to trigger, but if you ride down the blue elevator, the Sarians will kill you pretty much every time, so you kind of have to go back to the library. And it looks like he's trying to say something. What is it, boy? Oh god, Planet of the Apes reject. And he's telling us pretty much everything we need to know. We're under attack. It's kind of obvious. And then he gives us the keyword magnetic fields while pointing over at the cartridges. So naturally what that means is we need to get the cartridge on magnetic fields. But first let's see what else he's got to say. This series has always treated death very casually, even Rogers. So I'm going to save it here because you never know when those Sarians are going to come by, and I really need to get this cartridge without getting shot. So let's see how we operate this thing. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, there we go. Oh, not functioning. Where's the control? There we go. This is the copy protection portion of the game. We have to get out the instruction manual, figure out which 4 symbols correspond to magnetic fields, and then dial those in. And strangely enough, it's the same 2 symbols over and over. So the robot brings me my cartridge, and that's all I need to do. I'm going to save it again and attempt to find out what's on this cartridge that's so important. So, got to bring up those controls again, wherever they were. And there's a cartridge slot right under the monitor. Just stick that. Oh, I can't view the cartridge. Alright, fine, let's get out of here. No. Exit. Leave. Vacate. Abscond. Alright, oh wait, there's an off button. Duh, of course that's how you stand up. Okay, so we'll just have to wait until we find another terminal to figure out what that cartridge tells us. Moving on. Footsteps are not a big threat if you're near the edges of the screen. Kind of like in King's Quest, all you need to do is move to another screen and the threat immediately vanishes. And of course, we know that the Sarians will come into this screen and try to kill me, so I'm going to hide in this room until they've gone past. And this would be where the star generator was, and what the heck is that thing on the platform? Some kind of magnetic device. I guess it disrupts force fields, but I don't remember this thing at all. Apparently it's important. I can take it with me. Who's this guy? Okay, that's Randy. Looking around, giving you guys the full effect of the flavor text. Wasting some more time, because we've got plenty of it. Alrighty then, let's get going. We got another long stretch of corridor before we get to the exit. So now we're passing directly under the library, if you can see me down there. And finally, the door to the lower level. And Sarian's coming, but I think I can beat them to it. Yes, I can. Alright, and down here I think we're safe, so let's take a look around and see what's over here. Monitor, not particularly important. Materials testing device. Oh, that sounds interesting. I must play with that one. No, the red X is pretty much the most boring way of saying, nope, we're not going to let you do that. So moving on, oh, there's this green guy on the monitor. No idea what he's saying. And the Sarians are coming. So let's see if we can get away from him. Of course not. Alright, trying again. And this time I'm not going to waste any time in that room looking at anything. I'm just going to run straight across and get going before the Sarian. They're already coming. And I can't even hide behind the thing. Okay. Going to try another strategy. Increase walking speed. Now, at least in this version of the game, that doesn't increase the speed of anything else. So this is a sprint to the far side of the screen before the Sarians catch up. And I don't think they can approach me in this screen. So I just need to use this control panel over here to open the bay doors. Apparently Hal is not going to stop me in this one. And that elevator requires Jerry's keycard, which is this thing. I think we're one room away and we've got plenty of time. So I'll dial the speed back down a little bit since I won't be running away from any more Sarians. And what's that thing? A button above a rectangular object.
10 minutes till detonation.
It's a gadget. What the hell kind of gadget? I'm not sure what it does exactly, but it has a switch. And this one is a magnetic widget. No idea what the magnetic widget is for, but we want to switch the gadget on. That happens to be a universal translator, so we'll be able to understand the speech of other species. And then of course, we need the spacesuit from the closet. Failure to put that on is, of course, fatal. Now we can open the airlock door. I really thought the control was on that panel. It tells me the launch bay is decompressed, because of course I opened the outer door. And there's the control to open the airlock. And of course, you guys know I have to show you what would have happened if I didn't put the spacesuit on. Well, there you go. So, with the spacesuit on, let's just go and get into this escape pod. It's the same guy. Oh, so now I can tell he's talking about the stolen star generator. Probably not a good idea to have that in the hands of an alien species that invades a spaceship and kills everyone. Alright, quick save to make sure I don't have to repeat it. What are you doing, Roger? I didn't even know that was possible, but guess it was. Alright, significantly less falling off this time. I'll carefully follow the path and then get in the escape pod. Alright, quick look around, familiarize myself with the equipment. We've got a couple of buttons up here, and oh, hey, there's a seatbelt. It's pretty obvious, so I'm not going to bother with it. Here we've got the auto nav button, which gets the pod to a habitable planet, the button not to be pushed at any time, and the power button. And there's the throttle. So, oh, a survival kit. Gotta get that. Okay, I guess I don't gotta get that. Another save, because I'm going to show you what happens if you don't buckle your seatbelt. Something came to life down here. Oh, that's just the radar. Well, let's hit the do not push button. Gotta leave the launch bay first, so let's do that. Nope. Apparently, not wearing your seatbelt kills you even before you take off. However that works. Yes, we must fasten our seatbelt before going anywhere. Now we can turn on the ship and take off. And despite the fact that we had 8 minutes left before the ship was scheduled to explode, perfect dramatic timing. Every time. Thank you. And now that we're flying in space, it's safe, after a quick save again, to press the do not press this button. This may look familiar to some. And yes, the crash has killed me because the Dark Ages don't have space-age technology. This is actually an updated version of a gag from the original Space Quest, which, of course, I will be showing you at the end of the video. Sierra's Conquests of the Longbow, which, incidentally, I never got to play. Suppose I probably should have. Hey, check it out. It's got bad language in it. Alright, so back to our escape pod for the correct solution to our dilemma. Just push the auto nav button and the escape pod will take us to a planet. Namely the planet Corona, which I admit is very difficult to read in that font and that color. And here's the major key version of the flying through space rapidly theme. Nice smooth landing. And look, the shard of glass lying on the ground sparkles, just to make sure it's got your attention. And hey, a brand new joke for this version. And where'd the survival kit go? Anyway, first thing we gotta do is take the seatbelt off so that we can get out. I always kind of expected that if you didn't have the seatbelt fastened that it would kill you when you crashed into the planet, but too much effort. There's a survival kit. So of course we've got to see what's inside. A xenon army knife and a canister of dehydrated water. Yes, dehydrated water by Pelvatron. All you add is air. And I forget whether it's in this version or the original, or possibly both, but you do occasionally have to take sips of the water because we're wandering around a desert planet. You get very dehydrated. We also, of course, need to pick up the sparkly glass. And with that in our possession, that's pretty much going to do it. But I want to show you what happens if you attempt to explore this planet too much. Sandworms! Or graboids, or whatever, I don't know. Ah, it's the Grell. So that's the artificial restriction of where you can explore on the planet. So coming up next will be the bonus feature where I show you what this game looked like in the original AGD version. But first, let's go back in time a little bit and see what would have happened if I had just hung out on the Arcada until it exploded after 15 minutes.
30 seconds till detonation.
And we get a nice catchy theme. You know, I kind of wonder what Roger smells like. I wonder what he tastes like. I had 12 seconds left. Could have done a lot in those 12 seconds. So basically, we got blowed up. And I think this may be a unique death image. Not like anyone's ever in danger of running out of time. So, now let's see what it looked like in the original Space Quest. Now, the first thing you had to do in the original was type in a name. It wasn't until Space Quest 3 that they just set your character's name to Roger Wilco by default. But if you hit enter without putting in a name, that's the name you get anyway. And remember, in this version we don't know that the Arcada has been boarded until we actually get that announcement. And now I'll type who, just so you can see. It gave me the name Roger Wilco because I didn't type anything in. And a quick duck back into the closet. Exactly the same message that we saw in the remake. For all the changes they made, I think the remake was pretty faithful to the original. But I don't get the same message about the alarm, unless maybe I need to look light or something. But anyway, you gotta set it to fast speed if you actually want to get anywhere. And here's the familiar library. In AGD games, you actually have to position yourself next to something before you can use it. And the game goes into text mode again so that we can use the cartridge retrieval system. But I don't have any need for a cartridge yet. Show you guys what the different screens of the Arcada look like. I think I pronounced the name of the ship 3 different times in this LP, 3 different ways. And here's the body with the keycard on it. Pretty obvious that there's something important about it because it's tucked away in the corner here. And if I look at the body, a very nondescript message. It's one of the big things that they improved with the remakes and, of course, later games in the series was more dynamic descriptions for things. Of course, back to the library. Now, I think if you just wait in this room for a bit without leaving, then the scientist will show up too. But why not just go grab the keycard during that time? Another thing you might notice in this version, no timer. I don't think the ship ever actually explodes until you leave it. Again, same message, but all we have to do is look at the guy, and he gives us his message. We don't have to attempt to talk to him. The keyword this time is astral body. In this version, it's always astral body. I don't know whether you actually have to get the message from him in order to get the cartridge or not. And no, I'm not going to be playing through the whole game in this like I did the remake. I just want to show you a couple of differences, particularly once we get the cartridge. We'll save the game, and I'll show you what happens if I try to see what's on the cartridge in this version. This Sarian comes in and shoots me. No actual causal relationship, but every time you try to put the cartridge in the slot, you die. And here's a new message that was only in the original version of the game. Otherwise, a lot of the death messages are the same between the two versions. So let's go and take a look at the star generator room. No interesting descriptions of any of the bodies, but I do want to show you the pedestal that the star generator was sitting on, which in this version looks to be pretty intact. Roger doesn't even know that it was the star generator. Maybe it was the star generator. I'm looking around here trying to see if I can find that magnetic object that was in the remake. I don't see it, so let's move on and get on with the actual escape. Elevators work a little differently in this one. I think once the door closes, you have to hit down to step out of it at the other level. In this version, the bay door controls are in the second screen of this floor. And in order to push a button, you don't even use the word button. You just say, push open bay door. Which I'm sure is what confused the makers of Leisure Suit Larry 2 when they accidentally cast a noun as a verb. And of course, when you hear footsteps, you can just walk into the only screen the Sarians could be coming from, and they disappear. And here's the door. Those two closet doors over there with the two buttons between them hold the spacesuit and the electronic translator. And let's go ahead and open the airlock. Like I said, on the remake I was looking for the airlock button on the panel, because in this version it's on the panel. And we have now depressurized this room, but I don't die from it. Don't know why, but it's not until you actually walk into the room that you explode. And there are a couple of different stupid things I could do in here. Like, for example, walking into the open shaft. Or perhaps I could just walk right off entirely into space. And you can't even do that in the remake. But at least I did escape. So let's go ahead and get to the escape pod. The door on the left side is already open, so we'll just go and get in. And the inside looks a lot simpler in this version again. Again, we have the auto nav, power, and don't touch buttons, as well as the throttle. So let's see what happens in this version if we take off without putting on our seatbelt. Okay, pull throttle to execute launch sequence, easy enough. And it just tells me to buckle my seatbelt. Well, I don't want to buckle my seatbelt. Okay, you can't actually take off without buckling your seatbelt. Now let's take off. In this version the door doesn't automatically close behind you, so you gotta do that too. Thank you to the creators of Zork. And there's our exciting escape sequence. We don't even get to see an explosion, or get any explanation as to why there was an explosion. So let's go ahead and push that do not push button. Okay, it's don't touch. And unfortunately I ran out of time before I could actually push the button. And by not pushing the auto nav, I completely missed the planet where I was supposed to land, and now I die. So this is what happens if you push it in time. And this should probably look familiar to even more people. Yep, the original King's Quest 1, with a lot more alligators in the moat. So supposing that we didn't screw up, we hit the auto nav button, and the ship, as we know, will find the planet Corona. Of course, the monitor doesn't tell us anything interesting, but at the point where we would normally run out of time and die, now the monitor gets our attention, and we get to see the profile of Corona. Breathable atmosphere, temperature 40 Celsius, which I think is kind of warmish. Go ahead and make planetfall. No sound at all. And of course, a lot less sarcastic humor in this version. And before we leave, one thing that you've got to remember to do is look around the inside of the pod. Because in this version, they don't show you that there's a survival kit. But if you look around, they'll tell you it's there. And you're going to need that kit. So now we get out. The door is already open. And again, if you remember in the remake, we needed to get a piece of glass. This version, they don't make it obvious or easy to do. But if you come around to the front and look at the window, I believe it'll tell you that it's shattered, and you just have to know that there's a piece of glass you can pick up. And there we go. So of course, again, I'm going to leave you showing what happens when the Grell eats you. Otherwise, I'm Nito King, and I hope you've enjoyed this adventure. Stay tuned for the next episode. See you then.